Jeff Snyder here with the team behind Mayday, which is premiering in competition at the Sundance Film Festival. I'm here with writer-director Karen Cinorre. Stars Grace Van Patten, Havana, Liu and Soko. Thanks for joining us, ladies.
Thank you.
Karen, let's start with you. Tell me, where did this come from? Because I've never really quite seen anything like this, especially at Sundance.
I guess that's a good thing. I think it came from a lot of things, but it came partly out of my obsession as a girl with The Wizard of Oz, I think, and always wanting to kind of make a better one. Not that there's anything wrong with the movie. But I always felt sad that Dorothy came back and they were like, oh, you didn't really go anywhere at all, and you should have stayed home. And I just thought, no, she would be transformed when she came back, and I think that was in the back of my mind. And when I set out to create a story about a young woman coming of age, that was there. And then, I think also the brutal fact is that young women and girls worldwide experience some relationship to violence in their lives. And so that affected the way the story was shaped. And I see actual women and girls as forces of nature. So the Wizard of Oz idea gave them a large canvas to not be constrained by genre boundaries and allowed them to be the real forces of nature.
For the folks at home who haven't seen a trailer yet and may not know what the film is about, can you describe it in your own words?
It's a modern Wizard of Oz about a young woman who's trying to find her voice. So
Grace and Soko and Havana, what made you want to sign on? What drew you to this script, and how do you each make these characters your own? Grace, we'll start with you.
Okay. I read the script and fell in love with it, and for so many different reasons. But I thought it was so magical, and I thought it was so metaphorical and relevant, and it was done in such a fantastical way. And the idea of working with all women was so exciting to me, and just following this character Anna's journey, and just a story about a young woman who's in a really place and needs to find her inner strength, and she does. And I thought it was so hopeful and so inspiring to see that ending, and to give people hope when they watch it as well.
I really felt a lot of the same things you're talking about, Grace, in regard to just sort of the path that this film takes in exploring femininity and power and femininity. And I think for me, there was also an added benefit of this sort of catharsis that I might feel in being able to explore that as my character, as this sort of manifestation of Anna's inner child, of this part that can sort of provide hope and love, and is perhaps a bit more nuanced than just innocent, but truly has some sort of hope and desire to make some sort of change within the structure that Anna is escaping. And I think that for me, there was a lot that when I initially read the script, I felt kindred to. There was a lot that I felt like I could sort of heal from by being a part of the project. And so I hope that other people watching it will feel the same.
I feel a lot of the similar things, and to not repeat, I'm going to say one other thing that was most attractive to the project was Karen as an artist, and also supporting her in her first effort to put something very special and different out into the world. And it felt like we were speaking the same language in terms of what we want for women and how we can support women, and how we could just finally exist and take our place and assume it, and feel our power. And there was a lot of that on set. There was a lot of that in prep. There was a lot of that in our conversation with Karen and our on and off sets, who made it very safe for all of us, and made us feel empowered all in very different ways. But like, I was personally terrified with guns. I'm really anti-guns, and that was a really big thing for me when I read the script. And I was like, I don't want to shoot guns, and then we did, and it was really hard for me. Like I felt like I had a weird PTSD experience with shooting a gun for the first time, and that was very hard to overcome. But then all the conversations I had with Karen were very reassuring that like she was also anti-guns, and she's completely anti-violence, and this is not what the movie's about. And she kept just like reframing it of like, it's not about that. It's really about the power of these women. And so that was very something special for me.
Karen, I wanted to sort of back up and ask you what inspired you to become a filmmaker, and you know what your path was, since this is your first feature film. You know, how did you sort of work your way up to it?
I've been working in film for a long time. I never had the opportunity to make a feature, but I've been making shorts and videos, and I have a strong dance background, done sound design, curating, sort of worked on a lot of sets. And what brought me here was opportunity. And I found it through people that I've been working with over the years, and then given a chance to do it, and it's wonderful.
Do you feel like there's more opportunity in the industry these days for female filmmakers and first-time filmmakers? I think it's a better time than ever.
I want to say a hopeful yes for that. I'm certainly seeing things that I haven't seen before, and it feels like it's just opening up in a kind of incredible way. So yeah, I'd like to say yes.
I wanted to ask you all about working with one of my favorite actresses, Juliette Lewis. Because like, you know, an hour into this movie, I was like, Juliette Lewis has been in this thing for like 1 minute. Like you do not cast Juliette Lewis and stick her in the movie for 1 minute. So I was so delighted that she was heavily featured in this third act. Karen, how did you land her in the movie? And then, you know, the three of you, like, what was it like working with such a legend?
Can I just say something? When I read the script, I told Karen right away. I wasn't even sure I was being casted yet, but I was like, hey, that character, did you think of Juliette Lewis? Because I feel like that would be perfect for her. And she was like, actually, yes, I've actually been thinking about it. And yeah, totally, you get the film. You get it. This is it. I was like, yeah.
We were the same mind. I mean, basically, I didn't think of her while I was writing it, but when I was done and it was time to cast, I was like, who's more badass and we need to save the day than Juliette Lewis? Like, it was so obvious that she was the right person for this part. So I just reached out to her. She read the script, and the next thing I knew, we were on the phone, and she was excited and passionate and getting her plane tickets together. So lucky me. You know, we needed someone iconic for this woman, and there's no better badass than Juliette Lewis.
She is such a badass. It was insane working with her and doing that long scene that we had together. It was just like I was in awe of her, and she was so dedicated and passionate about something, and so passionate about the movie, and the fact that she did just want to do this because I think it is a movie. Like, you read it and you're so drawn to it, especially being a woman. It gives off so many beautiful, relevant messages that need to be told to the world. So I think anyone would be drawn to it, no matter who they are. And, you know, it's just one of those scripts and stories.
What was the best or toughest part for all of you shooting in Croatia, so far away from home?
No tough, honestly. Just like, I think the water and the insanely green and blue, and just the colors are so vibrant there that I really felt as though even after I left, I don't know still for sure if I was truly there in Croatia. I feel as though the entire thing was surreal from the second I was looking out outside of the window of the plane. And the film sort of lends itself to that as well, which I think is a perfect mesh between the two by the landscape and the film itself. But I just feel like I was taken on this wild journey. It helped so much with the emotional preparation and with the landscape that we were really creating there in that world. And I mean, Croatians are lovely and amazing. And so I just felt like it only benefited the film and myself.
Well said. You should be the spokesperson for the Croatian tourism board.
Shooting in Croatia. I would never tell anyone not to do it.
My favorite bit was the farmer's market in Croatia.
Oh, that honey, that lavender honey.
Ah, the lavender honey. I just ran out.
No.
Brought back 5 pots of honey. I just ran out.
There is one thing that's hard about Croatia. As a producer of the film, there are 30 different kinds of wind in Croatia, and they have a name.
Yes.
And one of them came in and demolished our entire set. And it was the one called Hugo. And that was pretty dramatic. But we had already shot it out, so it was okay.
Wow, okay. I did not know that. Karen and Grace, one of my favorite exchange in the movie is, when you and me are duking it out, and she says, "I made you into a hero. You made me into a psychopath. It's the same thing." Can you sort of talk about what that exchange sort of meant to both of you?
That's one of my favorite parts of the movie. I love that scene so much, and I love Marcia and Anna's dynamic throughout the whole thing. But I really loved that moment. I mean, I weirdly saw it as like a breakup scene as well, but mostly it was Anna realized who she was, and she realized that she can stand for what she believes in and fight for it without a war. And I loved that aspect of it, and that turning point, and her saying, you can't win, you won't be winning anymore. And Anna's like, I can live with that, because it's not about winning. And Anna needed to come, I saw all of the women as parts of her, and Marcia was the fighter within her, and Anna needed to be encountered with that to bring it out in herself and go back to the real world. And she didn't need a new life here. She didn't need this new life. She just needed to fine tune her real one and get back there. So I really love that exchange. And Mia's just a genius. So I love her so much.
Did the three of you ever feel like sirens in a sense, sort of calling men to their deaths?
100%.
Oh yeah.
Karen maybe wants to speak on this, but that was a major point of inspiration for our roles and the entirety of the plot. So, Karen, if you want to talk about it.
Yeah, Sirens, I'm fascinated with Sirens. I think I always was drawn to Greek mythology, Egyptian mythology. It's where the women are most unapologetic and formidable and powerful, center of the story. So the Sirens were alluring to me. And then I was researching another film, and I learned that women in World War II actually became broadcasters to have radio shows that would demoralize the men. And it's an actual thing that happens with Access Sally and Sophia Rose and others. And I just thought, oh my God, like the myth of the siren is still with us in this way. And I was fascinated with that.
I know this film is very dreamlike. I feel like it's open to interpretation almost. I'm wondering what you're hoping viewers will take away from this experience.
I really deeply dedicate this film to all the girls I know who didn't make it. And I want girls, boys, everybody to feel that even in darkest times, there is a way you can survive and find your voice. And a lot of it has to do with friendship and connection. And I'd love for people to take away that hopeful vision.
That's a good message to have right now. I'm curious, have any of you ever worked like a crappy job like the one that Anna works in this movie?
Are you kidding?
Yes.
I don't think there's any crappy jobs. There's only crappy attitude.
It's just the crappy boss, It's like,
yeah.
I actually love my job working at, in a kitchen. And it's busy and it's fun when you love the people. And there's nothing wrong with, Anna goes back to that job. Becoming something other than yourself necessarily. It's, I think of Anna as someone who loves to work. I think that all these women love to work. They're workers. And so, and I'm a worker. I love to work. There's nothing I like more than working. So, yeah, there is no crappy job. That's completely right. But there can be people that ruin your job for you. And so that's what it's about.
Havana, I wanted to ask you, I read that a portion of the proceeds from your jewelry line go to, women's organizations. I'm wondering if you felt like this film was a piece of activism art.
180% it is. I think that this piece, to me, what I love about the piece is it's super interpretable. But for me personally, in my interpretation, when I first read it, it could be seen as the death of second wave feminism. It could be seen as a path towards a more nuanced understanding of gender binaries. I think that all of that within the feminist conversation is something that, Karen really drums up symbolically in this film. And I think that it can spark significant conversations about sort of where we're headed in terms of feminism and as a society and where we've been and what the fallouts are from where we have been and where we can go. I feel like, I don't know, nothing for me is without symbolism and activism. So that could also just be my personal read on it. I don't want to speak on behalf of the whole film, but for me personally, yes, I got a part of it. I became a part of it because of that underlying message and idea and symbolism. So yes, for me, yes.
Grace, I know that you're doing that limited series, 9 Perfect Strangers, which has like half of Hollywood in it. What can you tell us about where you fit into that show, what your role is or anything?
It's a crazy, crazy little story. It's about a wellness retreat that Nicole Kidman runs, and these 9 strangers kind of come together. I'm going there for grieving purposes. I'm there with my parents because I lost a brother to suicide 3 years prior. So we're kind of going for that, and everyone else is there for specific reasons, and all hell breaks loose.
All right,
but it's funny, it's sad, it has a little bit of everything. So I'm very curious and excited to see how it turns out. Yeah.
I can't wait to see it. Hopefully later this year. Soko, I know you're a singer as well, and that you just dropped a new album of your own, which feel free to plug. But I'm curious, what should I be listening to? Give me some recommendations here. Spotify me.
Oh, you gotta check out Soko's new record. It's called Feel Feelings. Please give it a lot of plays on Spotify. It's amazing. I love the new record of Adrienne Lenker.
Yes, so good.
From Big Thief. Her voice is incredible, and I've been really into this lately. And also a friend of mine's, then they just put a new song out called, their project is called Hand Habits, and the new song is beautiful. So that's what I've been into lately.
I'll add it to the list. And then Karen, is there anything that you're working on next? I know this movie hasn't even come out yet. It's just about to make its festival debut. But do you have any scripts in the drawer that you're going to dust off now?
I have 3 in the drawer, and I have a rather pandemic-friendly one. So we're all trying to figure out the landscape of how to shoot, how to work in this new world, which will not be the world forever. But I am thinking of pivoting from a much larger canvas. That I feel like Mayday is sort of an explosion, and I think my next film will be similar, and it'll be about extraordinary women, but it's more of an implosion.
I did mean to ask about that. Was this film shot prior to the pandemic, or during? Like, how did the pandemic affect things at all?
It was shot prior to the pandemic. We ended in December of 2019, I guess, and we had no idea what was coming. Thank God we got to do it, and we got to do it in a big way. And then I had to very quickly pivot to my post-production. My editor and I, we all had to, in 24 hours, make our apartment into editing studios, be completely remote, figure out each part, the mix, the composition, the composer, the color, and each one. How do you do it? And I'm not alone in this. I'm sure we'll talk about this with a lot of filmmakers. And we manage, independent filmmakers, incredibly resourceful people. So we did it.
And before I let everybody go, how did you all feel when you got the news that this movie got into Sundance? I know we're not all there in Park City, but it still must.
I was gonna say, personally bummed out we couldn't be in Park City. That's how I felt.
Yeah, it's sad, but I'm so happy Sundance is doing it and pulling it off, because they easily could have just said, "Oh, wait till next year, you know. And Tabitha Jackson, it's her first year leading the festival. And imagine, you think you're going to throw a festival, and all of a sudden you're not, and you have to do it this way. And she's doing a beautiful job. So here's to her.
Indeed. Well, congratulations to all of you on the film. Mayday premieres at the Sundance Film Festival. Make sure to check it out. Thank you all for coming. I bungled the last line. I was so close, guys.
Thank you.